You are listening to chartingwealth.com for Tuesday, the 7th of April, 2015. Welcome. Hope you got a great start to your week after the Easter holiday. Well, look what we have going on in the market. This is IYY. We always start with the total market. This is an index fund that tracks that. Just an easy way to see what's going on in the total market. Look at what's happening. Here is our trend line that we drew. This is the 2-day chart, of course. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 days ago, you can see that we started drawing. Now look what happened over the last 2 days. We see a breach in the trend line. See what's happening? See how it's breaking through? Now, it's not come all the way through yet. We don't have a crossover going up. We do have the derivative oscillator bearing off a little bit. What's happening? Well, if you put a gun to my head, I would say that the market's screwing around, trying its best to go up. You can see how much. See that green wick right there? Market tried to move up, got pushed back down by the bears. It went down further, got pushed back up by the bulls. We've got a lot of indecision here. Could it go either way? Yes, it could. It's been holding along here for a while, trying to move up. It's not continued to move down. It's sort of just floating around right here. It is trying its best, as you can see from the derivative oscillator, to move up. Hasn't done it yet on the 2-day chart, but let's go back from the 2-day chart and check out the 4-hour chart. Look at what's happening here. This is what happened last week before the market closed for Friday. This is Thursday. This is Monday. We saw the derivative oscillator way last week start to move over, going up. Now, the price continued to go down. Derivative oscillator changed. It then backed off a little bit. These light green lines here. But look what happened today. Crossed over going up on the 4-hour chart. And we see the derivative oscillator starting to move up. What's that telling us? Well, if we look back over the last few months, the derivative oscillator has been a prelude or gone about the same time when the market's changed over going up and down. Don't count on it to tell us exactly what to do. It wouldn't have worked here. If you'd have gotten in when it switched over, you'd have lost a lot in the interim and would have made some of it up today, but you'd have been really feeling bad right in here. MACD's, though, moving over, and that's showing us that it's breached. We talk about triggers. We can see where it breached through and closed today through our trend line. Something to very much pay attention to. It's also pushing through the 30 and 34 moving linear regression lines. Those are important. Now, that's what the broad market is doing. Let's shoot back and check out the SPY. Look at the SPY. That's the S&P 500. Looks sort of similar, doesn't it? Except it has breached it by the close of business. So we still don't have the MACD. We still have, look at this, we're still under. It's not even turned green on the S&P. And this is again the derivative oscillator. It's not even turned green. We don't have a crossing going up on the MACD, but we do have a breach. Now, let's revert again back to our 4-hour chart, which again is 4 times smaller than the 2-day chart. 4-hour chart is, of course, the half day. Look at what happened here. Again this afternoon, pushed through, going up, and breached. Now, if we look back here, we do see an attempt to cross over, but it didn't. Went back down, very similar to the total market. And then, of course, we saw this morning and then movement on through this afternoon, breaking through. A lot of times what we'll try to use as a trigger is our 2-day trend line, and we've seen that push through. So looks definitely like, as far as the 4-hour chart goes, we're seeing upswings on the S&P and on the broad market. Now, let's go back to the 2-day chart and then open up my favorite, the Qs or cubes, the NASDAQ 100. Look at what it's doing. It's not anywhere close, is it? Doesn't look like here on the 2-day chart to moving over, going up. We still see continued pretty strong down movement on the MACD and the derivative oscillator. Now let's revert back to the 4-hour chart, and what do we see? We see an attempt to move up, but nowhere near getting near the trend line, the trend line that we drew back several days ago. Not crossed that yet, however. Check it out. We do have a crossover going up on both the derivative oscillator and the MACD. Now, when we have both of those taking place together, that sure makes me feel a lot more comfortable in the strength of a move. I sure like it best, though, when it pushes through not only those two, but also over as far as our trigger goes, the trend line. Doesn't have to, but it sure makes me feel a whole lot better. So let's continue to move through. Looks like we're getting some good up movement here at the beginning of this week. We'll see how it all pans out on Tuesday. Lastly, what do we always do? We always look at one thing that gives us an idea about other parts of the market. Look at what's happening with gold. We watched gold bottom out, as we talked about, around 111. Actually, right at 111. Many days ago. This is again back to the 2-day chart, and we've drawn our trend line and we've continued to see that. We redrew it after it petered off a little bit here, but look how strong after this crossing right here. Gold has continued to move up, up, up. Let's look at how it ended the day on the 4-hour chart. Again, it's even pushed through the volatility bands. Now again, remember, these are volatility bands based upon movement. Never stays outside the volatility bands. It always comes back in them, or they expand to engulf it. But you can see still way above the trend line, crossover back here, going up. So strong movement in gold. Very interesting to watch. I don't like to see the last part of the day's movement encapsulated totally in the mornings, but that's what it's doing. We do have some good strong up moves. If you got into gold back here when the 2-day chart was telling us that certain things were happening, you have probably done quite well from about 111 all the way up to today at 117. Nice up moves in gold. Anyway, interesting. Watching the market appears to be turning around, trying to move up. Overall market, the S&P and the Qs, and of course, gold is continuing its uptrends. So let's see how the market continues to develop tomorrow. I wish you great trading. Hope that you have a wonderful day in the markets and a great week. God bless. Take care.